Okay, my name's Michael Banister. I'm an author. I've written a bunch of books, and this is my latest novel, A Time Away from Time. It's a sort of a sci-fi time travel kind of story. I love science fiction. I love time travel in particular. I've written a couple of other stories that I self-published dealing with a kind of a mysterious guy, an alchemist from France from the 1400s named Nicolas Flamel. Nicolas Flamel actually was a real person. He was kind of mythologized in the Harry Potter books. He was a friend of, I don't know if you've read the Harry Potter books. Well, the main headmaster of the school was Albus Dumbledore. Dumbledore's best friend was Nicolas Flamel back in the 1400s. Flamel had invented this device called a spherical astrolabe, which gave, in the story, in the books, it gave him long life, like hundreds of years. In my book, I deal with the real Nicolas Flamel, who did live in the 1400s in Paris. And he was married to a woman named Perrine. There's a plaque to him at a cafe in Paris that we visited when we were there that's got a big memorial of him talking about his life and his wife's life. So in my story, he is an alchemist, and he has run into some mysterious, I don't know what to call him. He was a Spanish Jewish mystic who had told him in a dream about this, a way to convert a spherical astrolabe into a time machine. And in this dream, it was very detailed. And so Nicolas Flamel did that. And I have a mock-up of an astrolabe here. This isn't the way the one in the book it works. There's a little, you see a little globe in the middle. Mm-hmm. The way that Flamel modified it, according to the dream that he had, this vision, he cut open the globe, and inside he inserted different rare metals and silver wires. And I describe all of how to do that in this book. And then I will read the part where they work on this machine, and it sends them back into time, because the whole story kind of takes place in the early 15th century, in the 1400s. So the man who did it, as I said, was Nicolas Flamel. His assistant at the time was his apprentice named Gabriel Hugo in Paris. So I'm going to start off, read this little section about how they got together and how this machine got started. Gabriel Hugo closed his shop early, an hour after one of Duke Alvarez's slaves, a young woman he knew as Khadija, had come to him with a request. She had asked if he would come to the Igreja de Santa Clara, that means the Church of Santa Clara in Portuguese, to meet with the pastor, Father Rodrigo. When she told him the nature of the visit to repair a spherical astrolabe, he had a tingling feeling. It reminded him of his dream that he'd had earlier. Gabriel told his housekeeper not to prepare dinner that night, as he would sup at the church with the pastor. He walked slowly and painfully through the narrow cobblestone streets beside the city's Fernandine walls, relying on his cane to avoid slipping in the dim light. Now, this is many years after when he was a young man, he was an apprentice to Nicolas Flamel. Now he's an old man, and he's remembering this. The mention of the spherical astrolabe brought him back to his days as a Parisian youth, 82 years before. He had been a 10-year-old jeweler's apprentice in a section of Paris devoted to shops selling gems, gold, silver, and other precious metals. His master, an eccentric genius named Nicolas Flamel, was known as a master in repairing nautical instruments such as astrolabes. He was less known as an alchemist. For almost a month, Flamel had been working on a mysterious project that he allowed only Gabrielle to assist him with. Gabrielle had asked Flamel about the device, but all he said was that he hoped the device would be capable of, quote, navigating the interstices of time itself. And finally, on the spring equinox, March 21st, 1418, Flamel announced himself ready to set off on a voyage to the future. Gabriel was unsure what the master meant by that, but was eager to find out. Master, what will be your destination? Better to ask when will be my destination. I prepared this machine, pointing to the spherical astrolabe that sat on his work table, to transport me to the past and to the future. I'm most interested in learning what is in store for our wonderful but ravaged Earth. Perhaps I will learn a way to protect our beautiful Earth from a fate that I have witnessed in my nightmares. What happened next, Gabriel would never forget. He helped Flamel hoist a heavy packed bag onto his shoulders. After Flamel adjusted the bag to sit comfortably on his shoulders, he turned to the table on which his modified astrolabe sat. He placed both hands on the ends of the arrow that passed through the astrolabe from bottom to top, and then he and the spherical astrolabe simply disappeared. Now, as Gabriel walked to the church, the memory of that event stayed with him. Nicholas Flamel's words stayed with him for the rest of his life. Perhaps I will learn a way to protect our beautiful Earth from the fate I've witnessed in my nightmares. Now the rest of I'll read the part where these three slaves, these three sisters who come from Gambia, from Mali, which in those days Mali was a big empire, was very wealthy. They had discovered gold, and the emperor had spread his kingdom all the way to the coast and incorporated Gambia and all of West Africa. Today Mali is a little landlocked country right below the Sahara. It's not wealthy at all, but in those days it was. So I'll read this next section. It's a little bit long. I apologize. Do you mind if I read a page and a half? I'll try to read it slowly. This is the beginning on chapter 4. And this is talking when Gabriel had gone to the shop where the astrolabe had sat and helped the father, the priest, fix it because it was broken. There's a whole backstory about it which I'm not going to go into here. Anyway, Gabriel was a jeweler, and he had a lot of expertise in fixing intricate things like watches and clocks and jewels and things. So after he helped the father, the priest, fix this astrolabe, he left. So one of the slaves named